Yep.
Hey everybody! Nobody told me that y'all couldn't see my guests.
Thank you.
I wanted you to see them. I need you to see this. So there is a part one where I'm talking to myself, but you can hear them. So I want to introduce you again to Kian and Reshockie Furnace. And so tell us again, just really quickly, what it means to live life after the snap. What does that mean?
Well, I told in the beginning of the interview, I was talking about how I needed a place to deposit my pain when I was reeling after my then wife left me. That was heartache. That was unexpected. And all of a sudden, everything just came, the world came crashing in on me. And I used the title of my book, After the Snap, because I drew comparisons to the character of the villain Thanos in the Avenger movies and his snapping his finger and all of humanity, half of humanity disappearing. The humanity that exists in the movies was very much like the pain that I felt. Like you feel different. You feel like the world is colder. You feel alone. You feel like you didn't even know the person you had spent the better part of a decade with. And living life after the snap was you either get living or you get dying. You know? So I knew that I wasn't. I knew that I wasn't, you know, as depressed and down as I wasn't near, you know, suicidal or anything, but I was in a dark place. So I created the poetry page, K Furnace Spoken on Facebook, to deposit my feelings. So I would write about this, write about that, write about what I was going through, what I was feeling, and then other musings. And I want to thank you because you were one of the early readers, and you was always coaching me then that I should do a book, but you know, I was waiting on my queen to inspire me. So that's where the book came from. So After the Snap is my breadcrumbs of how I got to high ground, how I made it to safety.
Thank you for rewinding, you know, because lots more people are watching because they didn't want to see me, they wanted to see y'all. So you know, just side note, I'm still learning all of the technology. All I know is that I'm supposed to be having sacred conversations with people that I care about. So if you want more of the depth of the conversation, you got to go back and watch part one. You can turn the video off and just listen to us because the conversation there is amazing. But the one thing that I want to point is that Kian said the inspiration from his queen. And so that one question I do want to ask again. Okay, you got to tell us the 3 things you prayed for before I do that.
Okay, I pray for renewal, restoration, and revival. I want it to be whole. I want it to be better. And I just wanted it to be, I just couldn't wait for it to be. I was patient, but I just believed in how grand it would be, you know, when I found my next, you know, when I found my last.
And all of them, they all start with R-E. And we just noticed that, like literally, all 3 of us. So thank you again.
And I can tell you, this was spring, early summer of June of 2012. So this hadn't even been birthed. This hadn't even been thought of. I didn't even know it was even going to be an option. And I just tell you, God is great. I just, He is the author of your story, of each of our stories, and only Him, could do this for a poet.
Okay, so we talked in part one about being an empath. So that means that you can walk into a room and you can feel what everybody in that room feels. So on top of everything that you were feeling in your brokenness, you walked into spaces and then soaked up what everybody else was feeling. So now, after the snap, how do you balance all of that emotion? Because now you're a little bit more balanced because you have your balanced partner. But how do you do that now when you walk into a room, you feel everybody? What tools would you tell people to use?
Well, I've been making everybody an author. I've been telling everybody, tell your story.
Include me.
Yeah, tell your story. That's the main thing. You just have conversations with people you love. If it's if you feel like I can help you, if I'm in your love circle, then yes, let's talk. I'm so grateful for all of our Wilberforce family, my close Wilberforce family members, right, who was there to help me through that difficult time. My brother, of course.
Yeah.
Just my love circle was amazing. So you got to have a love circle. You got to have people who love you unconditionally, who can tell you when you're slipping, who can tell you, dudes talk to each other differently through a heartbreak. There is no, I even got closer with people who weren't in my natural circle from Wilberforce peers, but because of living in proximity, in the same city, I forged a new bond, and those brothers poured into me and told me that they too had been through, relationship breakups, and brothers can be more cathartic, and more in tune with, different setbacks and different pains and feelings in life. And for men especially, if you have after the snap that you're dealing with, find you some good brothers, man, that can commiserate with you and pray with you and pray for you, and even help take your mind off of it. Go hang out, go work out, watch a game with. So I had no shortage of those types of people in my life. So I try to be that for others wherever I can, to let them know that, it hurts. It hurts. It's something in your quiet moments you deal with. Your heart, heartache is a different kind of pain. It is. Dudes are big and bad and tough and all that. Till your heart get broke.
But you know what? Something else I've observed. I just want to add to that. We both are empaths. But as your wife, even as your friend, what I want to add to what I've noticed in his balance is he was always hopeful, right? But now, because he's on the other side of the test, in addition to being already hopeful, he can say, look, I have the testimony to prove that making it through that test works, is real. Mm-hmm. So mm-hmm. I want to add that's something I can say that he's added to his empathy for others. It's another level of encouragement. It's not just wistful hopefulness.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you have a snap moment too?
Absolutely.
So I'm grateful that the snap for both of y'all birthed something new and something fresh. And we talked in part one, y'all got to go back and watch part one. We talked in part one just about, mosaics and breadcrumbs and how God brought y'all back together, which is so, I just remember crying when I saw your wedding picture, like, oh. So just know that people from far away were praying, and that's the other thing. Before we got disconnected and nobody told me that they was only watching me and not seeing y'all, I was about to say that sometimes what we do is we feel the prayers that were prayed over us and prayers that we prayed that we have forgotten. And so now what you're doing is you're walking in the fruit of the prayers that you prayed over your life, the prayers that your mothers and your grandmothers prayed over y'all, friends prayed over y'all, and they all collided into this beautiful blessing. Yes, don't do it. You know,
Detroit tough.
Detroit is strong, you know, but I didn't know that you were an empath too. So that's really amazing to see, you know, two empaths coming together because you felt him. So we talked about that a little bit too. Like, how come y'all don't see how wonderful he is?
Yeah.
And that's what the second book is going to be all about. It's like walking around, okay, I remember how to be single. It's only a matter of time before somebody sees me. And sure enough, I got out there and just, it was like you almost getting run over by a car, you know? It was like cars, you know. I was just like, let me, you know, I just, you know, being seen is just very, very perfect for what this love is. It's you know.
There's a lot of comments about how people are grateful that you are sharing the male perspective. And so we talked in part one about how God birthed the ministry in you all those years ago. And, you know, he was using the cathartic space of Facebook to give you a place to write. And now you will be able to pour into other men. And as a couple, y'all will be able to pour into other couples about being able to live life after the snap. You know, we are a Marvel and a DC family over here too. You know, we watch all kind of The Flash and all kind of stuff. So I remember that devastation of like, you know, it's dust everywhere and it's broken while he sits back like, yes, I did this. You know, the enemy thought he won, but look at you now.
But God.
So I want you to, what do you want people to know, y'all, as a couple and individually? What do you want people to know about living life after the snap?
Go first with individual.
Well, I think I said this in part one. I feel like I, you know, in order to get, you know, in order to really exhibit resilience, you got to be faithful. You got to have faith and prayer. You got to have that love circle. In order to get through it, you got to go to it. You know, so I had to really be in my pain. I had to stoop, you know, I had to say what it exactly is that I was feeling. And I was, you know, I'm I guess gifted enough to channel that through poetry, but not everybody's a writer. So sometimes that is art. Sometimes it comes through in organizing your home or your living space. Sometimes it comes through in cooking. Sometimes it comes through in just being, you know, philanthropic or charitable and pouring more into the things that you love and the people around you. So that is, I guess, my parting shot to people who are going through something is get up and move, be active in your pain. Don't just dormant and let it be all on you like a blanket. Get that blanket off of you. Walk around in it. Talk, and people, you don't necessarily have to tell everybody about it, but you know, just continue to keep moving. And that was the thing that I wanted to do. That, like I said, that my page was my rinse. That's where I went to just shake off all of that. And 6 years later, I was able to collate what I think are some amazing breadcrumbs of my life. And you know, sometimes you want to keep those memories and those shards of glass from what broke you, just to remind you and to say that you'll never break me again.
Okay, so mine is extend yourself some grace. Kian talks a lot about how hopeful he was, and just utilizing his poetry to really rinse himself. But I want to remind people that it's okay to be hurt. It's okay to feel broken. Do you remember the first time we hung out? I told him I wasn't ever getting married again. And I meant it. I meant that thing. But I also remember having a conversation with my father where my dad said all the things that you're feeling, Dad, I don't pick right. I don't, and that was number one. I wasn't supposed to be picking to begin with, right? Okay. But two, he said, the man that God has for you is going to understand and hear all that. And he's still going to be everything that you want, need, didn't know you wanted, didn't know you needed. So it's okay to feel all of those feelings as well as you're in your process.
So Kian, you said earlier, you used this analogy about breadcrumbs, and what I think about in my mind is Hansel and Gretel, right? And so one of the things you said was, I followed those breadcrumbs back to my joy, which was the 4 E's, your 3 prayers, and now your wife, the REs, and so even in the brokenness after the snap, there were reminders. My one friend, Danielle Graham, in her chat, she said there was always an inkling that God was with me. So those breadcrumbs were inklings that God never left you. And they led you back to your joy. I love it. Y'all are just making me, I got all the feels on the inside of this. This is just amazing. So, okay, now this is the opportunity for you to tell people where they can find you. And I don't want you to be shy, I need you to speak up, sit up straight, and tell people where to find you. Tell them that you coordinate events. Come on, you can coordinate a bomb poetry night for their nonprofit organization. They just need to pay you 10% of the stuff that they bring in. Tell them where they can find your book on Amazon, because we gonna get After the Snap out there as far as a ministry to lead men back to the heart of God. That's the breadcrumb.
I'm going to do that, but first I want to give everybody a sample.
Okay.
So another piece to living after the snap, and I'll talk a little bit before I do this, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind.
I was on Facebook after so many months had passed, maybe even years, and I thought I saw her in a picture with another man. And I felt some kind of way about it, right? Like most people, jealousy, rage, and then a little more time went past and I felt guilty about feeling that way. Because if she meets somebody who puts a smile on her face, who restores her, renews her, and is part of her revival, that ain't got nothing to do with me. So I end my book. Wow. I end my book with a poem titled "She Moves On First." I have prayed for her grieving, thinking she might be mourning me, till one day I did a Facebook search and was surprised to see. At first glance, a couple's picture under a tree. I was floored by the intimacy. They looked in love and I was pierced deeply, almost to the core of my belly. I guess I have a revisionist view of history. That's when I discovered I was praying for her misery, not for her recovery. The big thing for me to do is to wish her to be happy. Instead, I was keeping her in my own memory, deep, dark, sullen, a prisoner of our unholy ending to our matrimony. It's so phony, so not sweet, so not sincere, and so selfish of me. When I give my prayer to God, it's for her total recovery, even if it had to come at the expense of me.
Yes.
And I think that I think when I felt this was like a prayer for me. That's when I was done. That's when God said, okay, you're ready now. I don't know when I wrote this, but when I know I probably was changed after writing this, because this was the result of talking to God, atoning for everything, I've forgiven myself, and having being whole and being ready to meet back up with Reshockie, and being untethered. But to answer the question, you can find my book, my debut book, After the Snap. You can find it on Amazon. You can put my name in the search engine, Kian Furnace, or Kian A Furnace on Amazon. And when you buy my book on Amazon, and after you indulge and you enjoy it, please leave a comment. I really have enjoyed all of my my people who have supported me and all of the wonderful things that they said. I hope not just because they know me, but that they really enjoyed it. We're very proud of this book, and it represents a part of my history, and we're going to be moving in this trilogy towards my current and future. So this book is the first step on that journey. So Kian A Furnace on Amazon, and that I would be honored if you all chose to support me. Thank you so much.
You have emptied out my soul today, y'all, with this wonderful love story of, restoration, renewal, revival, Reshockie. Yeah, like, it's just, and I think my takeaway is from this conversation is that you can live again after the snap. When you feel like devastation has taken everything from you, you can live again. And you are both, a perfect example of that. And I'm so grateful that you shared your painful story that is not told from a place of being a victim. Final words, Queen.
Do your work. Take some time to yourself. Find out who you are before you get into a romantic relationship, because hurt people hurt people. Those are my final words of encouragement and advice. I'll put my soapbox away, but I'm not throwing stones at a glass house. Speaking from experience, do your work, and I just want to thank you again for the opportunity to share.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for being a part of my journey to resilience. It has, for me, the snap was when my mom passed. It feels like your whole life is just on pause. And so I forgot who Penda was. And so I'm talking to people that I care about so that they can remind me I'm all that. And through your stories, through your testimony, you're reminding me that, you can live after the snap. I miss being on set. I know you always ask me, and you ask me when you do stuff, and I'm like, I never respond, but maybe I'll come and do a spoken word piece, because I miss doing spoken word. I need you to do
we got to save our university. So
yeah, you got me crying. I cannot believe this. Yeah. I need for you to do a virtual book launch, so you can share your poetry, and we need to experience.
Let's talk, because I need you to help me with it. So
there you go.
Let's talk.
Okay. I can't. I got to go because.
Let's talk. Let's do it before the new year too.
I just want to share a couple comments that I can see, because they've scrolled up already. But A Slate, go back and watch her chat. Her chat her declaration was, "I am a clean slate." And so her name is A Slate. And so she's already put your book in the comments for us. And one of the things she said is, when you want the best for the one that made you feel the worst, you're ready.
Woo! That was my final form, huh?
And then do the work to learn you before getting into a new relationship. So there's some gems that have been dropped, and thank you for your patience with me as I figured out this whole technology piece. But I really do encourage y'all to go back and watch part 1, which is mostly me talking, but you can hear them. And so that's why I wanted to come back, because I wanted you to see them. If you know Kian, you know, and you know Reshockie, like, you know that them fitting together perfectly as this puzzle piece of broken shards that make one whole, the light that shines on them, the smile that they have, is nothing but God. I love y'all. Thank y'all for watching. If you don't know me, I am Penda James, and I am a scribe coach. What I do is I assist people to get unstuck, execute their goals, and inscribe their legacy. You've been watching the Resilience Project. This is not a podcast. It's chats with people that I care about. Go buy that book and share it with a man that you know who might be hurting. And you can sit with them and you can read to them. You can just, it's a great way to start conversations, especially for Black men who don't believe in therapy, and, you know, Black men who aren't really talking, because you said it earlier, Kian, you know, it's like a macho thing. But thank you for being vulnerable on the page. We all are benefiting from this. So thank y'all so much. I'm going to stop the live stream and talk to my friends offline, but y'all go back and watch some of my other chats. Have a good night. I love y'all.